Ubuntu, Arch, Fedora, Debian. Why are there so many Linux distributions? And more importantly, which one should you actually use? Linux can look super confusing at first, but once you understand the basics, everything suddenly makes sense. Here's the first thing most people don't know. Linux is not actually a full operating system. Yep, seriously. Linux is technically just the kernel. Think of it like the engine of a car. The kernel handles communication between your hardware, your CPU, your memory, your drivers. Basically everything happening deep inside your computer. But by itself, it's not very useful for regular users. So developers build complete systems around that kernel, adding desktop environments, applications, package managers, and tools. And that complete package is what we call a Linux distribution. Now, this is where Linux gets really interesting. Every Linux distro has its own philosophy and personality. Some focus on stability. Others want the newest software possible. Some are made for beginners, while others are built for hardcore users who enjoy customizing absolutely everything. It's kind of like Android phones. They all share the same core, but the experience feels completely different depending on who built it. Let's start with the Debian family, probably the most famous Linux family out there. Debian is known for being super stable and reliable. And from Debian came huge distros like Ubuntu, Linux Mint, and Pop! OS. Ubuntu is usually the first Linux distro people try because it's simple and beginner-friendly. Linux Mint is also super popular, especially for people switching from Windows because it feels very familiar. The biggest advantage here is ease of use. Huge community, tons of tutorials, tons of software. The downside? Software versions can sometimes be a little older compared to other Linux distros. Next up, Fedora and the Red Hat family. Fedora is like the innovation lab of Linux. It gets new technologies very early, which makes it extremely popular with developers and programmers. Then you have Red Hat Enterprise Linux, one of the biggest Linux systems used by companies and servers around the world. If Debian is the calm and stable family, Fedora is more like the fast-moving, cutting-edge family. And now, the legendary Arch Linux. Arch has a reputation online for being difficult. And honestly, yeah, kind of true. But people love Arch because it gives you insane levels of control and customization. The philosophy is simple. Build your system exactly the way you want it. You get the latest software updates incredibly fast, and your system can become extremely lightweight. But the learning curve is definitely higher. Thankfully, easier versions exist like Manjaro and Endeavor OS, which give you the Arch experience without all the pain. And Linux gets even crazier because some distros are built for very specific purposes. Kali Linux is famous for cybersecurity and hacking tools. SteamOS is focused entirely on gaming. Raspberry Pi OS powers tiny Raspberry Pi computers used in DIY projects everywhere. So honestly, Linux isn't just one operating system. It's a massive ecosystem with something for literally everyone. So, which Linux distro should you choose? If you're a beginner, Ubuntu or Linux Mint are fantastic starting points. If you want modern technologies and development tools, Fedora is amazing. And if you love customization and learning how Linux really works, Arch can become seriously addictive. But honestly, there's no single best Linux distro. And that's exactly what makes Linux so awesome. Freedom, choice, customization. So tell me in the comments, which Linux distro are you using right now? And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more tech content.